Welcome to the Calder Farmstead.
Now the Ice Hawks back out to center in transition. Carlson with Quenneville 2-on-1. Right with Carlson, Quenneville scores!
Here's a chance for Carrick. Fighting scores! Off the face-off! Up in Seminger. Pulled back to Werenski. Has it. Shoots one. Bounces off a man. 5 seconds left. Werenski. Another jam on the shot. Turning and firing. They go! Scores! They score! Now they catch each other. They both go right over the top. Matching rights to one another. McDermott gets the helmet off of Cassie.
And now with 9 minutes gone in overtime, the Bears breaking out right side with Bear. Looks like cutting to the net. Bear will score!
And here are your hosts, Cece and Sean.
Hello and greetings from the mile-high city of Denver, Colorado.
And Canal, British Columbia.
Welcome to the Calder Farmstead Emergency Mini Podcast episode number 43B, that's Bravo, for Friday, July 16th, 2021. If you're hoping for a podcast featuring Department of Agriculture drinking games, say that 10 times fast, we are not going to be much help. Sean informed me that those do exist, but you won't find them here. This is an AHL podcast, an American Hockey League podcast, and my name is CC Hockley.
And I'm Sean O'Brien.
And as always, we thank you for tuning in with us.
So we discussed recording more often as the offseason ramps up, and there's news and notes worthy of discussion. A trade with AHL implications, some notable free agent signings. Okay, maybe those can wait till our next episode. And then an AHL coaching vacancy was filled and an AHL franchise gained an identity. So we sounded the bat signal there, which doesn't actually make a sound, but that's besides the point. And we decided we had to come in and talk for a little bit here. So we're going to give you a short mini episode, but we need to bring on a guest to help us with this, a local expert, if you will.
Yes, we certainly do. With the news and the unveiling, pretty anticlimactic after a few days delay, but we will get to that. Over there in British Columbia, a good friend of the program writes for the Comets Harvest. That's his own little prospects blog, and host of the podcast. Failed to mention that the last time he was on the Crease Cast at the Crease E with that. I don't know why I'm putting a T on the end of it. The Crease Cast. Cody Severtson. Cody, get in here. How you doing, brother man?
Thank you, fellas, for having me on. I wish we had something to talk about, though. I mean, we really got nothing related to Vancouver Canucks AHL hockey, do we?
Yeah.
Hold on, hang on. I'm getting a message here. We have breaking news. The Abbotsford Canucks have just been announced with a Johnny Canuck logo. Yeah. So let's.
Womp womp.
This is not actually breaking news. This has been news that's been kind of digesting, but we decided to take a day or two, kind of let it simmer, see how the general public and the Canucks fan base feels about it, and then kind of weigh in. So. Cody, let's start with you here. What did you think of the name, the logo, the reveal, all of it?
The name is fine. The name is boring, but I get it. Brand synergy. You see that all across the AHL. You got Iowa, Providence, Bridgeport. They changed their name too recently. Like, I get the direction they're going in. They want to maximize the amount that their name can get out there, especially across the lower mainland. Like Abbotsford's like a 45 minute drive. A lot of people that live out in Abbotsford can't really make it out to Vancouver Canucks games just simply because the distance is way too much. And we really have like a really poor lack of public transit out into the Valley area. So it makes sense. Give the people of Abbotsford and the Fraser Valley like a team to cheer for. It's basically like going to see the Canucks, and you get to go watch all these kids grow and develop and hopefully become NHLers someday. And maybe you too can watch them grow into NHLers. And you can say, I saw them first in the Abbotsford Event Center, when he was 20 years old or whatever. Unfortunately, the logo sucks. The jersey sucks. I mean, okay, let me dial it back a bit here. I don't want to start yelling this early. But a lot of people do, like in Vancouver, do like the Johnny Canuck logo. It used to be the shoulder patch where it was the V with the head sticking out. And it was fine. I don't like the full body Johnny Canuck outline as a logo. Most logos in both like NHL, AHL, like pretty much every major hockey league is crest based. Like you don't have like a large outline as a main logo anymore. The closest comparison is the Tucson Roadrunners, who have their Roadrunner guy playing hockey. It's basically the exact same layout, except they've done a much better job of actually making you realize the Tucson Roadrunners are an Arizona Coyotes affiliate. They have the Arizona Coyotes patches, like the proper patches on their shoulders. They have the Arizona Coyotes patch on the actual chest of the Roadrunner. And the bottom of the jersey actually says Roadrunners, so you know the team name. I was saying this to like some people at work. I'm like, if I showed you this jersey and it was black and white, would you have any idea what the team name is or who they play for? Who's the affiliate for? You'd have no idea. I bet you could show it to some 5-year-old kid and they would guess the Canucks because of the colors. But otherwise, you have no idea. Like I couldn't believe this when I looked at it the second time. I think I had a tweet about it. But the jersey itself, the shoulder patches, neither one of them is the Canucks' main whale logo. Neither of them. So it's like, if you remember that the stick and rink is like, you know, their logo from the 70s, and like there's obviously all the nostalgia with it from like their 2007 to 2009 period, you would know this is the Canucks, but you don't have their current main logo as a patch? Who designed this? We could probably get into that. Did they even pay someone to do this? Or were they like, hey, intern, you've got Microsoft Paint open. Can you whip up something? Because we forgot to create a brand for our big reveal, which, as we all know, got delayed by a week, which is just adding insult to injury. Like, the reveal itself was delayed, and they used the phrasing, you can't rush greatness. And that was the phrasing given to season ticket holders. So if I'm a season ticket holder, I'm like, oh man, they're going all out. They're going for like a theme, like with aviators, or it's going to be the Canucks, but it's going to be like a really, really cool design or something. Maybe they change it to the black and yellow colors or something like that, like some nostalgia factor. Nope. The Abbotsford Canucks, and it's a jersey that you could have got at Winners back in 2015 for $35. It sucks. A lot of people I've seen are like really cool with it. I have no time for it whatsoever. It's so lazy. It's the most half-assed brand reveal I've ever seen. I don't know how you guys feel about it. I think it might be one of the worst logos in the AHL automatically. I think there's some bad ones. I don't like the San Jose Barracudas, and I don't like the San Antonio Rampage's like bull and the all gray. I'd never liked that either. But this one, you could barely tell it's a Canucks jersey if you didn't know who they were. Like, I hate it. I'll defer to your guys' thoughts on what you think.
I will raise my hand and go first because I know Sean has a litany of thoughts and criticism that he wants to get off his chest. So I want to get in here before the the daggers start flying out of his mouth, Fair. As it were. So, okay, I want to run down the 10 names that were given to season ticket holders in regards to who this franchise would be named. So I just want to run down these real quick. We're going to backtrack.
Sure.
Abbotsford Aces, Abbotsford Arrows, Abbotsford Avengers, Abbotsford Aviators, Abbotsford Canucks, Abbotsford Golden Eagles, Abbotsford Pilots, Abbotsford Millionaires, Abbotsford Sockeyes, and Abbotsford Falcons. Now, I'm a fan of alliteration. I would have appreciated Abbotsford Aces, Arrows, or Aviators. Like anything embracing the, I think that's, kind of thinking outside the box a little bit. And again, I'm a fan of alliteration, so it just rolls off the tongue. Abbotsford Aces. I think that would have been great. And they could have come up with a better logo. And like you said, not copy and pasted Johnny Canuck in all his full-bodied glory. I use that term loosely. But, I think the name, it was a lazy kind of, Vancouver Canucks, Abbotsford Canucks. And I think it would have been better if even if they put Abbotsford, like if they took the Roadrunners, and if they put Abbotsford, like the Roadrunners logo, and put Abbotsford right underneath Johnny Canuck, that way you have some differentiation, and oh, okay, this is the Abbotsford. This is the Abbotsford Canucks. This isn't the Vancouver Canucks. And our Twitter account at Calder Farmstead, we tweeted out a photo from March 2015 that said Happy St. Patty's Day. And we retweeted it and said, this jersey looks very familiar. Guess what? Carbon copy of the jersey, minus the A's over the striping on the shoulders. But
it is. I'm going to jump in here at this point.
I'm going to pull it up while you jump in. Hang on.
It is the laziest effort possible because you named the team after the team you were. Yeah, right there.
There it is.
So this is the Reebok.
It's so different.
This is the Reebok, what they call them, fashion jerseys from 2015 that nobody bought. Nobody wanted these jerseys in Vancouver. They were literally just lining a storeroom somewhere. Yeah. And they are, the only difference is there's an A on the sleeves and the shoulder patches are the alternate Canucks logo stick and rink.
Right.
And it's Adidas and there's no NHL logo. But those 4 incredibly minor details, that's it. Those are all of the differences between those jerseys. So you basically did nothing. You didn't you didn't try and come up with something new and creative, despite the fact that you gave ticket holders 8 names. And then you just I cannot imagine that you polled people or took public, season ticket holder opinions or did focus groups and the overwhelming majority was yes, please be Canucks.
Yeah.
Everyone, all the reaction I've seen, some people are yeah, this is fine. Who cares? It's a team. They aren't angry like Bridgeport was when they did that, but they were more whatever. I saw people who were just please don't be Canucks, but they're still going to buy tickets and stuff, but they just wanted something different. And I understand the brand synergy thing, but I think for Iowa and Belleville and Bridgeport, there's at least some competition in those markets that's close to the home market, that you have people who aren't necessarily Islanders fans or Senators fans or Wild fans that live in those areas, and you're expanding your fan base and your brand that way. Is there any way that people living 45 minutes outside of Vancouver are Calgary Flames fans? If they were, I imagine the Abbotsford Heat would have been more successful. This is one where when you're that close to each other, you're not expanding the brand in my mind. You're just carbon copying stuff. And a lot of teams where they're, right on top of each other, San Jose, for example, are smart enough not to do this. If you're both the San Jose Sharks or the Junior Sharks or whatever, A, people are going to get confused, and B, you're not going to enhance anything. You're literally selling less merch.
Yeah.
But the biggest thing for me is I like the Johnny Canuck logo in general, the concepts I've seen. I think the fact that it looks like the Vancouver version of the Insane Clown Posse logo is not great. I also think that 30 seconds of Googling reveals a lot better choices for the Johnny Canuck logo, including the Johnny Canuck head that was in the V. All you do is turn that upside down and it's an A, and the idea that it's just this rough outline, as kind of Cody said, and there's no crest or boundary or anything that indicates a team name, I think is very much but then again, it seems like they decided they were going to go Abbotsford Canucks with their old fashioned jerseys plus 3 new features on them.
And even then,
very late in the process. This has Tyler Toffoli timeline written all over it. And we ran out of time, so we had to scramble. And that's why we put this off from Friday to Wednesday. Part of me wants to believe that there was some intern that was assigned to this. And Thursday night or whatever, they accidentally delete all the designs and templates and everything. And that's why it got pushed back to Wednesday, because they had to mad scramble to make it, to make something up, because some, idiot that was supposed to fetch coffee spilled it all over their design and now it was unusable. Like, that's really what I'm hoping for, is a conspiracy theory with absolutely no factual evidence. But it's
the Magic 8 Ball says no, it wasn't a conspiracy, because it's not like they only had like a week to come up with the idea and some intern screwed it up. Like, Utica and Vancouver announced like the dissolving of their partnership like months ago. Yeah. So they knew this was coming, where they were going to have to announce a new brand. And so it's like you had, I mean, when did the season end? March or April or whenever that was? May.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you've had 3 months to put together your best ideas. And I think that's what's the most frustrating thing for Vancouver fans is like you said, a quick Google gives you like hundreds of really cool ideas, not only for just like a potential AHL franchise, but different Canucks branding that you could then just port over to your farm team and then do the Abbotsford Canucks thing. But like they're marginally different, like the piping or the stripes or whatever. You can still do that. Instead, it's like, it was literally like, what artwork do we have on hand? Do we have any graphics we can use? Okay, we do. Whatever. Hey, Stan Smeal, do you like the Johnny Canuck jersey? He says yes. Ryan Johnson, do you like the Johnny Canuck jersey? And he says, sure, whatever. And then that's all it took. But like Cece's saying, they gave season ticket holders a list of 10 names. And I really find it hard to believe that the majority of voters picked the Canucks, because there are some cool names on there. And the Abbotsford Air Show that goes on out here is like the highlight of the city of Abbotsford. Like, that's the thing that if you were in the Lower Mainland and you were associating things with Abbotsford, it's the air show, it's the airport. Like, everyone loves to go to the air show at the end of summer. It's like the coolest thing ever. You just drive up, park, and watch planes go vroom vroom. So to not even embrace like the pilot culture, like the plane culture, like it just seems like a huge loss. And like you were saying with San Jose, like, yeah, they can't call the two teams the San Jose Sharks. And so they have a complete freebie here with Abbotsford Canucks versus Vancouver Canucks. So all you had to do was just do something a bit different, because you're not spreading the brand. Like, everyone in Abbotsford, they're already Canucks fans, or they're already, some fan of the Oilers or whatever team. Like, they're basically going to the AHL games because it's finally accessible professional level hockey, which they haven't had since the Heat days. But now there's a bigger tie because it is actually tied to the Canucks franchise. And it just seems like a huge loss to just be like, hey, you got it. Like, the jersey reveal almost came off like, we don't care what you really think. We don't even care if it's that good. We know you're going to eat it up. And all we really care about is that you bought the season tickets. We don't care. And it's whatever.
Honestly, go ahead, Cody. Sorry.
I was just going to say, it's just like, if I was a season ticket holder, it would just be nothing but disappointment, where you're like, man, I would have loved to have bought my kid a really fun variety of the Vancouver Canucks jersey that's been modified for the farm team. Instead, it's like a jersey I could pick up at Walmart for $45 a couple of years ago.
Well, and honestly, like, I like the Johnny Canuck logo. Like, I think it in and of itself, I think it's a cool logo. However, the way that they repurposed this failed Reebok jersey from 6 plus years ago now, and they could have, like I mentioned earlier, gone with that aerospace, that airplane based. I figured, Abbotsford had some sort of, aero background,
right,
with airplanes and things like that. And I figured that's why there was aviators and aces and everything in there. And they could have embraced that. They could have put Johnny Canuck on the shoulders if they really wanted to. Put Johnny Canuck on one shoulder and put the Vancouver, Orca on the other, or the rink and stick, something like that. But the fact that they didn't do that, and just, Sean, any closing thoughts on this? I did have another Vancouver affiliation related question for Cody before he goes, but I just, both of you, chime in, closing thoughts on this whole thing.
I think ultimately this is going to be fine. Like, and that seems to be like, nobody is angry they're just disappointed, which I imagine if you're, Cody and I were talking before we started recording about like, if you're the marketing guy for this, you are like, this is the worst case scenario. It's like, oh, nobody cares that your work was done. Like they were going to show up anyway. And I'm like, yeah, but do we really believe that marketing guy existed for this? This very feels like a bare bones effort, but that's part of the problem that we're kind of describing. Ultimately, I think it'll be fine. Like, is this disappointing in a very underwhelming rollout of whatever? Yes, especially when you think of like what Henderson did last year, which was spectacular. Yeah. This very much underwhelms, but I think, it come October, nobody's going to remember this and they're going to be excited to just get on the ice and cheer on their team. Like, and hopefully, Abbotsford in a season or two will be able to, circle back, come up with some better, jerseys and reboots, and be able to take a second swing at this, because I think there is a lot of potential here to do something fun and creative and engage the fan base, as opposed to what they came up with. So I don't think anyone is mad, but it does feel like a lot are disappointed, but they're going to soldier on.
Yeah, there is like a level of apathy in the market right now for Vancouver, where people are they're so beaten down. Last season for the NHL squad was terrible. Like, the team experienced a COVID outbreak. A star is like in some seriously gross legal drama. Players are rumored to be wanting out in the offseason. They lost some star players in the previous offseason. Tyler Toffoli gets lost for nothing, and he basically carries the Habs offense in the postseason. Then he pulls his quad and isn't as useful, but that's a completely different issue. But all fans really wanted was something to kind of reinvigorate hope that the organization is trying to go in a different direction than what they were, or what the direction they were trending in last season, because all it looked like it was just going down the tube. And so all they needed was a little victory that showed like, hey, we, the Vancouver management group, we actually do care about giving you a team that you can root for and support. And we're really trying here to, give you guys faith back in us. And instead, we got a rehash, which is about as lazy as it gets. And for fans that were looking for just a little bit of thing as they approach an off season where they once again have no one really important to expose in the expansion draft. They haven't even started building their AHL team to begin with. They have one forward signed in Vinny Arsenault. That's it. And so all you needed was a little bit of hope, and the fact that they couldn't even do it in the easiest win. Like we said, you can Google any mock-up over the last 5 years on a potential Vancouver farm team in the Fraser Valley, and there's like hundreds of results. All it took was them to do that and get ideas, and they didn't even do it. They took the laziest, cheapest approach possible, and once again, the fan base, who are apathetic as it can be, are now going, oh, what else is new? Of course, they barely tried last year, and it's more the same this year. I guess it's going to be another season of the management group just not giving a fuck, and that sucks for them, really.
If this was a small market team, I could understand the lack of resources to really, like Vegas's ownership group has the resources to kick this, well out, or to kick this well through the uprights. Right. But like we were talking about, I even said in our last episode of teams that have just flat out more resources than other teams in the league. Vancouver should be one of them. They are a very large market owned by a very wealthy ownership group. Like, this is not a team that is, pinching pennies like Arizona or Florida or,
It shouldn't be, but they do. That's right. Like, that's the thing, is like they have the money. You don't own vineyards across Canada and the States and not have money at your disposal. This is a family operation that has worth like billions of dollars. They have the money to pay for the resources to give the fans hope. But if at the end of the day, you're like, nah, we're good, they're just going to pay for whatever, then that just tells the fan base everything they need to know.
Yeah. And they made it official on June 29th, which is only 2 weeks, a little more than 2 weeks before they made the announcement. And I kind of play devil's advocate. I know Sean's rolling his eyes if you're just listening, And I told Sean, I'm like, well, they only had a short amount of time to do this. And Sean goes, I found 3 logos that are better in 30 seconds of a Google search. And Cody made another good point saying people have been mocking up AHL, names and jerseys and stuff for years if they decided to come back to Abbotsford. And once they finally did, the organization took the lazy route and, hey, Johnny Canuck, there we go.
All right, Cece, I'm going to ask you a question to Google here really quick.
Okay.
What was the date that Robert Eschs filed the patent?
Oh, I just had that up. I think it was April. Hang on. Let me look it up real quick. Hang on a second. I was Googling flights from Kalamazoo to Abbotsford. That was going to be my final question.
Yeah.
You'll see why. Hang on.
That's when roughly the time frame of how much time you had started. If Robert Eschs at that moment was making moves for his next team to come in, that's when you should have also been, as an organization, making moves to start this branding operation. So to say that they had 2 weeks because that was when it was official, if you hadn't done all of the legwork, assuming that the paperwork would be fine, you really don't run this business efficiently, which I feel like is a fair criticism of them at this point. But again, I don't want to just continually, our introduction to the Abbotsford fan base be like, everything sucks.
They're Canucks fans. They're used to everything sucking. It's no big deal. But yeah, on the Robert Eschs thing, this whole thing is just a lesson in why establishing a good brand is important, because Robert Eschs owned the Utica Comets imagery. He's got the logo. He's got the branding. They've done so well in spite of what Vancouver has offered them in terms of players and support. And when it came to them moving on from the Canucks, they managed to convince the Devils organization that we're just going to be the Utica Comets again. They could have easily been like, we have the Utica Devils in our history. We want that to be the branding. But no, they know what sells. The Utica Comets brand has been made perfectly by Robert Eschs and his team. They've done a tremendous job of being a successful franchise, even though they can only have 2,900 people in their barn. So when you have 7,000 people that can go to an Abbotsford game and the overwhelming majority are just like, oh yeah, I'm here for the hockey, but the logo sucks, that's a bad look on your brand. And it just is a testament to why some people should maybe care a bit more about the fact that it's kind of like a lazy reveal instead of taking the, don't worry about it, no one cares. They should care. People do care. I care.
Yeah. Those details, even in the, even in making our logo for this podcast and the background that's on YouTube and all of that stuff, those are details we've spent a lot of time, working on and tweaking and perfecting. And we're a dumb podcast that, no one listens to. This is going to be a team that thousands of people follow and go to games and buy their merch. The fact that the two of us are putting in probably a superior amount of effort to branding details is not a great thing. But regardless, let's Cece real quick about Kalamazoo, and then I have one more question for Cody, and then we have another topic to cover here really quickly.
Eschs filed the trademark for Utica Devils on April 5th.
Yeah.
So there you go. Cody, in your opinion, Kalamazoo is, I just Googled flights from Kalamazoo to Abbotsford. It takes 10 hours, 11 hours at the least to go from Kalamazoo to Abbotsford or Vancouver for that matter. Because you got multiple stops.
Yeesh.
Do you think that Kalamazoo is in a contract year for their ECHL affiliation? Do you think maybe Abbotsford or Vancouver, as well run of an organization as they are, wink, wink, do you think that they maybe opt for someone closer, say the furthest west team in the ECHL and the Idaho Steelheads? Do you think they try to pry them from Dallas's?
Steelheads just signed with Dallas, so
they did? They re-signed?
They did, earlier today, I think.
Oh,
but Rapid City, I think, is still right there. I believe
they're going to probably stay in bed with Arizona and Tucson. That's a pretty good affiliation they have there, but could be. But yeah, another minor airport going to Vancouver or Abbotsford. That would take forever. Cody, your thoughts? Sorry.
The Canucks, if they know that they are still affiliated with Kalamazoo, I would be shocked if they do, because they don't really use their ECHL team. The Comets did. The Utica Comets organization, they did. They would have, they'd send Josh Tevez and Mitch Elliott down there because they weren't performing. They'd call up maybe 1 or 2 or 3, but most of the time they would call up guys from the Adirondack Thunder because they were way closer, made more sense. I would be shocked if they call up anyone from Kalamazoo this year. I honestly feel like this organization itself, the NHL team, they have no clue what they've got on there. It's purely just like pageantry, like, oh yeah, we have an ECHL affiliation. We'll use it if we have to, but otherwise they'll probably run a very skinny AHL club. And if they need call-ups, they'll probably, they'll call up from wherever they're local, like in California. So if they're down there on a road trip, they'll probably call up whoever's the local kid on the ECHL team down there, and that's it. I truly doubt they put that much thought into their ECHL affiliation.
Yeah. With me, unbeknownst to me, for shame, the former Idaho beat writer doesn't know when his former team has re-upped their affiliation. For shame. No, but in all seriousness, Idaho has sent players on ATOs and PTOs to California AHL teams because of the proximity. So, there's going to be a glut of guys on Idaho on ECHL contracts that are like, oh, okay. And Abbotsford's going to be like, oh, hey, we need a forward tonight. Yeah. Send you top line forward from Idaho. So that's probably going to happen. But yeah, that completely derailed my final question. So sorry to end on a little note, but it happens.
Hey, it's all good. For the Vancouver Canucks organization too, like they were never really using their farm team to develop players as AHL depth, right? Like this isn't a Toronto situation where they have Newfoundland. They're like, we're going to have our guys there and we're going to send our youngest prospects who aren't getting time to the ECHL. They'll develop a bit, get time, float between the two. That's kind of the purpose. We have a feeder team to our feeder team. Whereas the Canucks organization is, okay, if we need a body, we'll find the best one available that we can. That's why they picked up Colton Saucerman from the Steelheads that one year and sold a bunch of merch using his beard and then walked away from him, even though he was legitimately one of their better defensemen during that awful season. But that's a conversation for a completely other day. But yes.
Oh, yes. Well, Cody?
I have one quick question here, just because I imagine that there are people who are Canucks fans who are not as well into the Utica Comets organization. They wouldn't really know who was on that roster. So, Cody, who is one person, if you're a Canucks fan and going to be an Abbotsford season ticket holder, give me one guy that you think is going to end up in Abbotsford next year that they can look forward to?
They can definitely look forward to, from the forwards, they can look forward to probably a Carson Vogt, maybe. He surprised me pretty heavily as a forward. He was playing middle six competition. He had 2 veterans on his wings, really tenacious, really just hard on pucks and had a really sneaky good shot. On the defensive side though, I'd go with Jet Wu. He was one of their best defensemen for a rookie, a complete rookie, was pretty solid in the offensive end, even if the points didn't come. Defensively, he was positionally sound. His skating was unbelievable relative to his peers. I couldn't believe some of his reads and some of his back checks and just the way he would attack pucks and attack puck carriers on zone entries. That's a guy, the name it alone is going to have fans going crazy. The dude's last name is Wu. You're going to have Ric Flair videos queued up anytime that kid touches the puck. It's going to be the easiest marketing campaign for the Canucks. And given their history so far with the Abbotsford franchise, it's not looking so hot. But having Ric Flair videos queued up for the first game of the season is a pretty easy thing to do. And so I would hope that the guys that goofed up the jersey and the brand reveal can at least get that thing right, because that's all they have to do for this defenseman who might be their only right shot player in the system for the next couple of years. So those are my guys.
All right. That sounds great. Cody, thank you very much for coming on. Real quick, where can people find your stuff?
The fine fans of the Calder Farmstead can find me on Twitter at Cody Severtson or my website, Comets Harvest, which you should bookmark it now because I'm going to have to change the name and the logo and all that crap to fit this stupid AHL team. I don't even know what I'm going to call it. So, yeah, if you guys have suggestions for a change from the Comets Harvest.
The Canucks Harvest. Oh.
I could. I just don't want to get sued because it seems like they're going to want the easy money coming their way. So, but sure. Yeah, Johnny Harvest sounds kind of weird. I don't know. It's going to be a tough off season for Cody. But yeah, if you guys want to follow me there, I'd appreciate it. Also follow my podcast too, where I ramble just as much as I did on this show. That's the Creasecast at the Creasecast on Twitter. We appreciate your follows. Much appreciated, guys, for having me on. Lovely to talk very frustrating AHL things with you guys.
Absolutely, Cody. As always, friend of the program. Thank you for coming on, brother man. We appreciate you.
Cheers, guys.
Cheers,
Enjoy
mate.
the rest of your show.
See ya. All right. Well, with that said, and the little mini snowstorm that Sean had in the background, I think it's a good time to take a little ad break.
Yeah, I mean, it is good to see that Abbotsford blew past their own deadline and to see that torch of ignoring set deadlines being passed from Abbotsford to Stockton. And speaking of Stockton, we're going to talk about their new head coaching hire here after the break. But if you're an Abbotsford fan, this is your first time tuning in, and this is your jumping off point, you're not interested in that Stockton, talk, I completely get it. Just make sure, you hit the subscribe button, hit the little bell in the corner so you get stuff in a timely fashion. Follow Cody wherever he is. Follow us on social media at Calder Farmstead on Twitter and at the Calder Farmstead on Facebook and Instagram. If you've enjoyed listening to us, our social media is, I think, something you're going to enjoy. I promise in the future we won't be so downtrodden on your franchise from day one, but we are a podcast that likes to call it as we see it. So we will be right back after some messages that help me afford to trek to the mountains. Hold on.
Okay, let's finish this little emergency episode out. Like Sean mentioned before the break, Stockton Heat, after Cale McLean getting a well-deserved promotion to the Calgary Flames coaching staff, is getting replaced. And it's all about the love, man. It's all about the love. Mitch Love, that is. Mitch Love becoming the new head coach for the Stockton Heat.
Yeah, and we thought this was going to be a surprise hire, quote unquote, because there weren't really any slam dunk candidates that emerged right away. Their assistant coach really didn't seem like he had the resume at the time to kind of take that bump up. There weren't any obvious, like emerging candidates that were Brad Treliving or Brad Pascal's best friend. So this was always going to be kind of like we have no idea who they're looking at. And for Mitch Love's consideration, he has no real connection to Brad Treliving or Brad Pascal, the Brads, if you will, which gives me the impression that the Heat and the Flames actually did a real coaching search. They didn't just, open their phone Rolodex and search by coach, especially too as they promoted from within the last time. Not that I think that there's a problem with that, but it also kind of speaks to the we didn't even try and find a qualified candidate for this. We just, tapped the next guy in line. But tell me a little bit about his profile there, Cece, if you will.
Sure. Yeah, let's we can start with his playing career. Not that it really matters, but he did play 278 AHL games. He racked up 808 penalty minutes. He was a goon his whole playing career. There's no way around it. Yeah, he was a goon. But playing at a high level doesn't matter, so we will move on from that. His coaching career, he was an assistant coach with the Western Hockey League's Everett Silvertips for 7 seasons before becoming the head coach of the Western Hockey League's Saskatoon Blades for 3 seasons. Went 95-60 as the head coach in Saskatoon, which is pretty good. That's about 2/3 of your games winning. So that's always a good winning percentage. Has some Hockey Canada experience sprinkled in there for tournaments like the World Junior Championships and the Lenka Gretzky Cup. Always there as an assistant coach, though, and not as a head coach, not as a bench boss. He is very young, 37. That's pretty green in coaching years. But, his resume is good. Does feel a bit thin, though. Only 3 years as a head coach. Let's compare that to some other coaching hires from the last season. Seth Appert over there in Rochester. 17 seasons of head coaching experience. Manny Viveros over there in Henderson, 11 seasons as a head coach. And John Wroblewski, 7 seasons as a head coach before taking over in Ontario, if I'm not mistaken. Ontario? Yes. Yep. Okay, good. I'm second guessing myself now. In spite of his lack of head coaching experience, it's not to say that he won't succeed or that this is a bad hire per se or anything like that. I don't want to go to extremes, but I think that this keeps the hire out of the slam dunk category for me. Sean, your thoughts on Love taking over the bench in Stockton?
I think that you make a good point there that, like, I think he's going to be a good coach and I think he's going to work out. I still think this is a good hire despite, the concern you raised, which I think is a valid one. His age should help him, relate to the Utes on his team, which he's going to have a bunch of.
The Utes
last year, the Utes. Sorry, the Youths.
I had to respond. Sorry.
And he's coached young players that took leaps forward in the WHL. Kirby Dach, 3rd overall pick in 2019. Rising star for the Chicago Blackhawks, took a big leap in production under his tutelage. Tristan Robbins was a 2nd-round pick by San Jose in 2020. He's another one from the Mitch Love coaching, world that took a very big leap forward to be that 2nd-round pick after it looked like he could kind of go either way. He also managed to coach the Blades to good records while getting pretty average goaltending along the way and not a ton of blue chip guys on the roster. He also has really nailed the don't say anything interesting part of being a hockey coach. So he's never going to be a guy that's going to give you shirtless interviews shouting number one bullshit or, telling the media that like his player is sick and shit his pants like Tortorella did, which yes, is a real thing that happened.
Yeah, I'm aware.
it was one of those where like, I think it's going to be a good hire. I think he's a good coach. The lack of experience does concern me like a tiny bit, but I think the 2 big developmental feathers in his cap in Kirby Dach and Tristan Robbins help him a lot. I especially think too, as the Calgary is looking to enter this, definitely is teetering on the brink of like, do we blow it up and rebuild? And they have a lot of good, young guys in that system. So I think him having a little bit of a mark of, getting young guys to take big leaps forward, which you need at this point in the AHL. You need your 21, 22-year-olds in their year 22 and year 23 age to be making big strides. Like you can't see intermittent increases at those points. That's when you are supposed to be peaking as an athlete and you need to take big steps forward if you're going to make it to the show in a more than, cup of coffee, taking tours of press boxes kind of way. And I think he's someone who at least has shown that he's done that in the past. And I think that's a good mark. But I like this hire, but don't love it.
You don't love it? Sorry.
Coach Love, if you're listening to this, as you do follow us on Twitter now, we still like you. We will give you a very fair shake. Should you deserve, well, you're going to deserve a fair shake, but if you, deserve love from us, we will give it to you. So, I'm sure that will also not be the end of our puns on your last name, which I have to imagine at this point, you've heard all the good ones. So, we will try and be as inventive as possible, but we have one more quick thing that did happen while we were recording.
Yes. And that was the Milwaukee Admirals doing some faux throwbacks, as it were. And I'm going to share a tweet in which Elaine Shercliffe, AHL Central Division correspondent for Full Press Hockey, put out. I'm going to share it real quick and put it there on the full screen and click on the image. Boom. There they are, the Milwaukee Admirals 3rd jersey. And that's what it's supposed to look like from the 50s and 60s. And I got to say, a little disappointed they didn't go with the refrigerator logo that they had when they first started the team. Because if you did not know, that is what the team was named after, the Admiral Refrigerator. company based out of
Wait, is
Milwaukee.
that that's really what they're named after? They're named after.
Yes.
I didn't know that. I never
Yes.
understood the fridge logo, despite the fact that it's like what here on our YouTube channel down there.
It is very small. Yeah, good. Yeah, you're good awareness. Good awareness. Where
our graphic designer took a lot of input from me for this this background, so I did know it was there somewhere.
Yeah,
but I do like them. I do agree. I would have liked the fridge logo, but for something new and fresh, I think it's a good look. I like the red one a lot.
Mm-hmm.
But I think for a faux back, as you put it, it's not a reverse retro, but I actually really like them. I think for a third jersey, something they wear, a couple Fridays and Saturdays a year, I think this is really good. If this was going to be like, we're throwing out our previous logo and jersey combination, and it's just these now, then I would be maybe a little alarmed. I don't think they're a good fit for that, but for like a change of pace, fun Friday night kind of deal, I think these are really good.
Also, we just got some instant Elaine just got an instant response on Twitter, which I thought was pretty hilarious. Kyle Hall at KHallNY said about these faux back jerseys, it looks like, quote, the result of the Canucks guy joining the Navy, because it's the exact same hockey pose. I had to share that. It's like, it's like the Canucks guy joining the Navy.
That's real. Oh, wow. Cannot unsee. That is really accurate.
And I want to see if he's got his left. Yes, he has his left hand going forward. Both the Admiral and Johnny Canuck.
That's
great. That's hilarious. It looks like the Canuck guy joining the Navy.
That is.
Oh, you can't unsee it, like you said.
Can't unsee now. All right.
No,
well,
for sure.
Cece, do we have anything else we want to cover before we jump into a sign off here?
Oh, your favorite forward for the Hershey Bears re-signed a 2-year AHL deal, Cale Kessie. Yes, coming back to Hershey for 2 more years. 2 more years. 2 more years. Anyway. Just wanted to share that. There's been a number of signings and things like that, of course. But I mean, aside from the Avs trading Ryan Graves to the New Jersey Devils just minutes ago, former Colorado Eagles standout Ryan Graves, if you want to tie it into the AHL, I have nothing left to present to the podcast here.
Yep, but I think those are things that we can talk about, when we do a full episode. We're a little over the mark of a mini episode for even us. So let's wrap it up here quickly.
Well, that'll be it for the show. Thanks for watching or listening. The Calder Farmstead is part of the Full Press Radio Network. You can listen to this and a number of other great hockey, sports, and sports entertainment programs at www.fullpresscoverage.com. Just click the podcast drop-down menu in the top right portion of the website. Click it. Enjoy.
If you guys are enjoying the Calder Farmstead, please make sure you subscribe so you get episodes in a timely fashion. Also, please rate and review the podcast wherever you're listening to it from. Or if you're watching on YouTube, like the video, comment what you thought of the episode. Doing so helps others find the show, and your reviews help us improve it. You can also follow the show on social media at Calder Farmstead on Twitter, at the Calder Farmstead on Instagram and Facebook. Links to all of that and more can be found on our Linktree, which is linktr.ee/the Calder Farmstead. It's also scrolling down below there. Big thanks to Adrian Drake, who made our theme music. You can find him on social media at AD_dysfunction. Cece, where can people find you?
My name is CC Hockley. You can find me representing Full Press Hockey on Twitter at FPC_AHL. You'll see a lot of AHL transactions, both comings, goings, and re-signings, and hell, NHL two-way contracts as well. We cover that at FPC_AHL. And then at my personal Twitter account at CCHawk, SEESEEHAWK. See what I did there? You can find me tweeting about hockey most of the time, but love me some good music, love me some good pro wrestling, and just love me good TV shows and whatever in the zeitgeist currently. Check out my writing on the Full Press Coverage Network at www.fullpresshockey.com. Sean, where can people find you?
I'm Sean O'Brien. You can find me on Twitter at SeanO'Brien81. That's SeanObrien81. I'm also on an Instagram account that is like 70% pictures of my dog, but also a couple of random ones of the surrounding world. That is at SeanO'Brien_81. You can find my stats work on Tableau at bit.ly/datadumpandchase, all lowercase, all one word. Also wanted to point out before I signed off here, this is the last episode for the Hockey Flow. This is, unfortunately, has a date with Destiny and will no longer be a part of our YouTube channel for the foreseeable future. So next episode, when you tune into us and you see Cece next to, some short-haired, clean-shaven guy, it is actually still me. I assure you.
Anyway,
Cece,
yes, go ahead.
Cece, take us home.
Sorry to cut you off there. Get it? See what I did there? Cut you off there? I know. You're welcome. That's it for the show. Episode 43B, emergency episode. Had to get it in there. Had to talk Abbotsford, Stockton's new head coach, and the Admirals' new third jersey, which is perfect. For Sean O'Brien, I'm CC Hockley, and as always, keep your stick on the ice. Thanks for tuning in.